Welcome to the Armageddon TV YouTube channel. The pressure exerted by the Ukrainian armed forces on the Russian army in the Kherson and Kharkiv regions continues. The superior performance of the Ukrainian army ground troops with Western weapons was seriously reflected on the field. The Russian army suffers heavy casualties at many points and suffers from a serious shortage of ammunition. But the problem that Ukraine could not solve since the first day of the war has been at sea. The Russian Navy, with its blockade in the Black Sea and the sudden raid on the Ukrainian port cities, completely destroyed the very few Ukrainian Navy. This reduced Ukraine's naval strength at almost zero. It also allowed Russia to carry out a months-long naval blockade. The most fundamental result of this blockade was the grain crisis in the world. An agreement has been signed recently for this grain crisis, and there has been no adverse development so far. In fact, the first Ukrainian grain ship anchored in the Bosphorus today. However, it is known that there is a serious mine trap in the Black Sea. Turkey sent mine-clearing ships on this serious issue and also sent 2 warships to the region to ensure the safety of grain-carrying merchant ships. However, even if Turkey has taken some steps in this regard, Ukraine needs to take a few steps in this regard. For this reason, some soldiers from the Ukrainian army received training from the United Kingdom in the past period. In fact, it was stated that Russian submarines that harassed the Norwegian coast in the Baltic Sea in the past weeks wanted to undermine this training. Before the Navy Day of Russia, 2 Russian nuclear submarines entered the training area of the UK Navy and the Ukrainian Navy. However, the UK Navy's submarine hunter warship spotted them and drove them away. But these days, the UK is reportedly gifting 2 mine-clearing warships to help resolve the Ukrainian mine issue. The UK has actually been providing serious assistance to Ukraine since the first day of the war. A total of £2.3 billion in military aid was promised. This was mainly for the supply of air defense systems, drones, and electronic warfare equipment. Responding to this last promise of British aid in the form of warships, Ambassador Pristaiko noted that the Ukrainians had already been trained on one of the ships. He also stressed that at the moment, Ukraine needs anti-mine ships. It is known that the main reason for this necessity is to clean the Black Sea in order to solve the grain crisis. According to the ambassador, these 2 ships will be modernized and equipped for the Ukrainian armed forces. The Ukrainian Navy has shrunk by 80% with the annexation of Crimea, and it is not likely to compete with the Russian Navy at the moment. Since the demining in the region is also a healthy move for Russian commercial ships, there's a possibility that Russia will remain silent on this issue. In fact, in the occupied port of Mariupol, the bewildered, incompetent Russian warship struck its own mines and sank in June. However, even the situation is healthy, it is known that the decisions made by Russian President Vladimir Putin are often unhealthy. Not only Ukraine or the world suffering from a grain crisis, but also Russian soldiers complain about this situation. The Great War between Ukraine and Russia turned into torture for the Russian soldiers. They can neither respond to attacks by Ukrainian forces nor defend themselves against attacks by Ukrainian forces. Russian soldiers are in a really difficult situation on Ukrainian soil. Besides, a different problem arose for the volunteer battalions formed by the Russian forces, whose purpose was to earn money. The source of the problem is that the budget of the Russian forces to cover the wages of the volunteers has been greatly exceeded. For the volunteer Russian battalions, they were to pay in rubles the amount promised by the authorities, equivalent to about $5,000. However, the amount invested by the relatives of the volunteer soldiers on the battlefield is incomparably lower than the promised amount. This means that volunteers who are already in a difficult situation may not deign to stay in Ukraine any longer. Later, a statement made by the Russian Armed Forces officials provided us with some necessary data to reveal the true face of the incident. Russian officials said that the promised wages for the formed volunteer battalions will be deducted for 90 days, and the wages will be credited to the accounts at the end of the 90 days. This is the biggest proof that Russia is in a major economic crisis. In addition, it can be said that a step has been taken that may lead to a gradual decrease in trust in the state. In addition to the economic dimension of the incident, Russian officials said that after receiving the wages of the volunteer battalions formed for the war, they would only be able to receive a monthly payment of 2,000 rubles, and after 3 months, 200,000 rubles would be deposited into their payment account, for fear of disappearance or refusal to be sent to Ukraine. While conveying the situation, no information was given about the process to be applied for the volunteer soldiers who died in the war. I think no payment is planned for the soldiers who died in the war other than the 2,000 rubles given monthly. This may be another reason for the freezing of payments to be made. It was also said that the planned payment of 2,000 rubles for the volunteer soldiers sent to the battlefield had not yet been paid. After the emergence of such rumors, it was observed that the support of the Russian people for the efforts to invade Ukraine, which was described as special operations by Russian President Vladimir Putin, decreased greatly. Not only the wages paid, but also gradual increase in the duration of the war and the inability to achieve any successful results are important factor in the decrease in support for the Russian government. Russian President Vladimir Putin, on the morning and evening when he started attacking Ukraine, said that by overthrowing the Kyiv government in a short time, they would prevent them from joining NATO. But the situation began to turn into more difficult conditions than planned by Putin. And with every minute that Russian forces stopped in Ukraine, their losses increased. When the Russian offensive began, when many experts compared the forces between Ukraine and Russia, they found the time calculation made by Vladimir Putin correct and thought that the Russians would achieve their desired results in a short time. The perfect example of defense by the Ukrainian forces at the beginning of the war, Vladimir Putin and the experts beautifully illustrated the calculations, only the statistics did not actually show the truth. This situation showed the whole world that Russia is not as a big military power as it was shown. In the wake of this situation, the excellent defense of the Ukrainian forces made the Western countries rely on the Ukrainian forces, and weapons aid quickly reached Ukraine. On the other hand, approximately 34,000 soldiers in various regions of Russia can be sent to the Donbas region until the end of August. But in this case, it is estimated that there will be no solution for the Russian forces. It is a different problem that these soldiers are the most teased and the newbie is the newbie. For Russia, which was in such a difficult situation at the very beginning of a great cultural, economic, and military collapse, nothing will go well from now on. If the war goes like this, mobilizations for a civilian coup may begin. And things could go from bad to worse for Russian President Vladimir Putin. But after this point, for Russia to recover, it may be necessary to create a great chaos, completely destroy the established order, and set things right by establishing a new order. We hope that the Ukrainian people and the Russian people will get rid of the different forms of persecution they have seen, and we hope that the Ukrainians will regain their territorial integrity and freedom as soon as possible.